So good, loving somebody. Ooh, and somebody loves you back. That's a fact. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your man Rico. Rico, the opinionist, OPINIONIST. What's up? Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much, those of you who continue to follow me here on Facebook, as well as you continue to subscribe and share the videos and have conversations on my videos on my YouTube channel, Rico, the opinionist. Thank you so much. I here again soaking up this melanin. On this melanin on this melanated day. I wanted to talk about this, just a random thought about a quick conversation I had over this past weekend. But really, when was it? The game was on Thursday. Was it Friday? Yeah. Today's from blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it had to be Friday. I'm just switching hands. Hold on a second. Okay. All right, y'all. My part-time hustle allows me to, do security and work games and stuff like that, right? Football games, concerts, and all that. It's pretty cool, get to see certain concerts. And I'm not a huge sports fan, but, it's cool. And you have a lot of people who do it as a part-time hustle, like yours truly. And I was working a game, and there's a lot of young people as well as older people who are 20 and 30 years older than me. They're like 80 and stuff working these events. And so, when you're working your post, you have people working around you. Just so happened I had a young person, most of the young people around me, but I had this 19-year-old young lady, African-American young sister, attending college. I think she's a sophomore, criminal justice major. And I don't know how we got on the subject, but me, whenever there's a lot of young people around, I start talking. I guess it's like older people do, just start talking. We want to impart wisdom on them, right? But she was very gracious, very nice, and I warned her. I said, hey, when I start talking, you have to stop me because I'll just start talking. She's like, no, you fine, go ahead. So I'm just, What was the topic? We talked about a plethora of topics. We talked about her school and all of that and what school was like and how she working a part-time gig, but because she's taking a full load in her criminal justice major. Yeah, we got on that. I let her know I taught at the school that she now attends. And I said, oh, yeah, you really? I said, yeah. And so we talked about the ins and outs of the school. A lot of stuff hadn't changed that she attends. But we start talking about, I start asking the questions, because when I'm talking to young people, I like to ask them questions about a lot of stuff that we talk about as older people as relates to this younger generation. And so she asked, I said, so tell me this, what's with all these damn nose rings, these bull nose rings a lot of these little pretty young ladies are wearing? I'm not a huge fan of nose. No, I don't have a problem with young ladies wearing cute little piercings like on their nostril right there, and those who learn how to wear those where you don't see the hook coming out their nose looking like a booger. But y'all, I don't know if y'all paid attention. Y'all so busy, running on lives, you don't pay attention to our young people or what's going on with them or their politics and what they're talking about. Well, I do. I listen to everything. So much so, I'm finna veer off for a second. I was in 7-Eleven, getting me a lottery ticket, taking out my lottery tickets, and worked my ass off to avoid those freshly baked cookies that's next to their hot food. I don't buy that hot food, all that shit on the light bulb. But those freshly baked oatmeal raisins, the red velvets, the salty chocolate and caramel cookies, chocolate chip and caramel, salted caramels, and what else they got? The sugar cookies, and man, I'm telling you, I went on a tear for a long time, and I did pretty well. Did I buy it that day? I think I bought the cookies that day. But anyway, I did a great job. I didn't buy them. I just bought my lottery tickets. But behind me was a young black couple, and they were having a little debate. she's like, his girlfriend was saying, let me pay for it. He said, no, I got it. No, I can pay for it. No, I got it. I can pay it. No, I can pay for it. And I just, I turned around. I said, hey, bro, let her pay. And they both started chuckling. And of course, I'm like, hey, he doesn't understand. Because he's trying to be a gentleman. Someone told him, to be sweet and be kind and all this. These little young lady. She might be one of those that he can be too. But I hope that with this experience that he's with her, that she's offering to pay. He understands there's nothing against him and his young ego and pride. But he needs to understand that most of these young ladies have purses full of money. If they offer to pay, let them pay. Hell, all that gentleman shit, that chivalry mess, man, that's all that shit left with the days of the pager. But a lot of these young men are still being raised at home to be chivalrous and generous to these independent, modern, I don't need a man, strong, independent women. That's stupid. If you teach your son to be gentlemen today, you're setting him up for failure. Unfortunately, well, not with a lot of this generation of young black females. They too busy all up in Sexy Red and what's the Megan the Stupid to purport themselves as ladies who appreciates men. A lot of that stuff is most of these relationships are transactional. These millennials and Gen Zs and all that, they have what you call mainly transactional relationships. At least in Gen X, the women actually liked us. A lot of these young women, not all, but too many, y'all raising these old independent little hard head, hard shoulders, tough chin ass girls. And they think men are literally ATMs. Y'all see it on social media and you see it in real life. And somebody ain't taught these young men, look, don't leave with your wallet because she'll empty it and then go to another wallet. Not all, but too many. And so, but I thought it was precious. No, you pay, I can pay. And then here's the punchline. She's like, it's just $7. See, never fails. Yeah, women are cheap. Shout out to Tommy Sotomayor. Women are the cheapest when it comes to somebody else, but on themselves, they'll spend all the money. But on a man, unless it's somebody that she truly, truly likes. It's usually somebody who doesn't really like her like that. Ain't that weird? So anyway, I just thought about that. And so back to the young lady I was talking about. So I asked her, she said, I don't know why they do that. And I told her, I said, well, sweetheart, because she's a young lady, she didn't have on any makeup. She had a natural hair, with like braids or whatever. No glasses, just a regular plain young lady. Big bright smile. She said she in the household with both her mother and father. And she considered herself a little conservative. And so, conservative in a lot of her stances. But she said, I don't know why they do that. And I said, young lady, don't do that. I said, it makes a woman's face ugly when they put those bull nose rings, those septic ring, whatever that ugly shit is. And y'all have daughters around here 16, 15, 20, 21, 25, and 28 with these damn bull nose rings. I'm here to tell y'all, they have no interest in a man. Because I'm here to tell y'all, and like I told this young lady, that's an underground movement that's hidden in plain sight. We've moved to a generation of young girls that have been groomed not to like boys and not to like men. And they do it. I thought when they started getting tattoos, they can't stand men. But maybe because I don't like tattoos on women. I think it's masculine. When I was growing up, again, I'm 56 years old. I'm not an old guy, but I'm older than an 18-year-old. The only people that got tattoos were the dudes who didn't go to school, the little thug guys, and the guys who was in jail came out with those tattoos that they did with a ink pen or a pencil or a paper clip or something they got in jail or something. They did it like that. Everybody had that same green ink or whatever the hell they got that crap from. And so when I started seeing women getting tattoos and all, I said, okay, something's changing. I don't like tattoos on women. It's very masculine. It's not attractive. I don't give a damn who you paying, who you dedicating it to. All kind of rough stuff and hard stuff are for boys and men, not women. So And I told her, no, as a matter of fact, shit, we didn't even get on the topic of tattoo because we was delving into the psychosis or the psychology of those damn bullnose septic rings. And, you know, I understand when big girls and tattooed up girls do that. Don't nobody want them anyway. But y'all actual really beautiful young baby girls, 18, 19, 25, 26, with these goddamn nose rings. Ugly. And unfortunately, a lot of these young men, they aren't trained to have discernment. All they do is look at ass. And a lot of young women, they know that. He don't want nothing but some ass, so that's how they treat him like nothing. They don't care how they look. And then not just the girls, the way the lace front wigs and the weave. You got your little daughters with the natural hairstyles, with the locks and the twists. They got the goddamn nose rings. I was like, my God, I'm so happy I'm not 21. Having to date in this generation of little angry ass, anti-man, feminists, misandrous little helpers. And these guys are so silly, they don't even know these girls can't stand them. They'll take their money, they'll take their entertainment, but they have no interest to be with them. These girls want other girls. And yeah, your daughter want a girl. And that's just the times we live in. And somebody in hell, based on a lot of these TikTok videos I've been seeing and shit that's going around, these teenage boys and young college-age men want other men. Oh, God, come on, somebody. So I told her, hey, baby, don't do that. She's like, yeah. She said, oh, I don't know. And then we got into politics. And when the subject of politics comes up, I'm often quiet. Because I know that Trump derangement syndrome is real in the black community. And she said, the first thing out of her mouth, you know what that young lady said? I sure wasn't going to vote for no Kamala Harris. Now, I'm not a Trump supporter. Well, I wasn't finna vote for no Kamala Harris. Because all she want to do is, talk about abortions and all that. She ain't I just shut my mouth. I'm like, whoa. And I told her jokingly, but seriously, I said, young lady, don't talk like that out loud around other black people. Again, this young woman's sweet, smart, very nice. Don't talk like that. She said, I know, right? I know. I said, don't do it. I know what you're saying is the truth. But don't you talk like that. Because they've already been trained. Even girls your age group, 16 to 25 years old, already been taught that Trump bad, Kamala Harris would have been great for us, and blah, blah, blah. She said, I know, because I'm just not with all of that. I'm like, whoa. I said, just like what they say on the internet, young lady, you must be protected at all costs. Phew. You don't run across too many young ladies that talk like that. And for y'all information, you cannot want to vote or support Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. It doesn't automatically mean that you're a Trump supporter. But that's how people are deranged. If you ain't vote for that witch, that weirdo broad, you a Trump. You like Trump. So I was like, damn, she probably so busy with work and classes, she probably won't even have time to fool around all that nonsense. I said, well, damn. And she was like, first, I know she started off. She said, man, because it's hard. It's not too many. What'd she say about dating? She said, ain't too many out here. The pickings is slim. I said, hold on, young lady. Wait a minute, sweetheart. Don't you do that. You are 19 years old. You have your life ahead of you. Your head is on strong. Don't you start talking like these over 40, washed up, auntie arms, a lot of times out of shape, overweight, angry, bitter betties, bitter aunties. Don't you talk like them. They had their chance. They was 19. They decided to whore it out. They decided to, as they say, had a hot girl summers. And then wanted to try to ask God to send them a man for them leftovers that they had after they had sex with the men who actually made their coochie wet when they was teenagers and young 20s. And I told her, I said, don't you wait to be 34, 35 years old talking about you want a husband. That ain't how they work. She said, this is what she said. I know, because I'm looking to be married by the time I'm like 23 or 24. I want to start having kids, and people be like, why you want to do that so early? She's saying that other women, older women and girls in her age group are telling her, why you want to do that? You need to live your life and all that. I said, what they mean is you need to try to hop on as many penises as you can. And she just started laughing. I said, I would say, you continue to go for your career and all of that. But if it's something that you want, you meet a young man that's your age or 25 years old at that time, 26, and he wants the same thing you want, y'all go for it. Because what's happening is we don't have a lot of marriages. And she said, I don't want to have no kids, just be having kids. I want to have it, with my husband. I said, see, young lady, I said, this young lady needs to be protected at all costs. I said, don't listen to these old bitter betties. And don't listen to these little feminist, ratchet-ass girls your age group who are going to be laying on their backs. And then all of a sudden, they get an epiphany at 29 and 30. Then they're going to try to rush anybody down the aisle. And then when they get 30, 34 years old, with their master's degree, law degree, doctorate degree, and all of that, they're going to try to rush some man who they think need to have $200,000 in the bank and all of this. When you're young, you attract all of that. I said, what is happening, young lady? What has happened is our people, or America, and especially a lot of our men and women, particularly women, have gotten out of line, and therefore a lot of us are out of alignment with what God has asked us to do. Come on, somebody. So you keep doing what you're doing, and I ain't have to tell her you ain't got to follow the crowd, because it's very apparent that this young lady does not follow the crowd. Like, I think she's one of the leaders they're kind of hesitant about following, because these little tramps out here. But what else to talk about? I was like, wow, go ahead, young lady. It was refreshing to hear a young lady talk like that. But it was also disappointing that she said out loud, which we already know what goes on. These old bitter betties, over 35, over 40, who didn't accomplish the love of their life. They messed around and stayed single too long or whored around too long. They, missed out on their chance. But I told her, I said, the window of opportunity for the love of your life and anything that you want for a young lady is between 21 and 28 years old. That's the window. Because when you're young, God gave y'all a superpower. When you're young, God makes you young and beautiful, tender and taut. And that attracts. I said, when you're young like that, every woman can attest to this who make it to 35 years old. She can say, yeah, when I was 25, when I was 26, when I was 24, my good childbearing years, there were men lined up around the block. And there were men who were inappropriate. No damn well they couldn't talk to me, but they was lined up too. You have a whole flock of men to choose from during that period in your life. But a lot of these young women have been talked out of their youth by angry, liberal feminists. And then a lot of black chicks bought into that. That's right. I ain't finna be held down by no man. They ain't gonna stop my progress. I ain't gonna let no man stop me. This dumbass, what's love got to do with it nonsense. Like that happens to every third or fourth black woman when she's young. Some man is brutalizing or holding her down. This shit is so stupid. But y'all bought into it. Now you wondering why the marriage rate for black women is barely at 30%, while other women over 50%. Because y'all let the feminists make a fool out you. And now your daughters, this generation of daughters, 18, 19 years old, 20, 24, 25, they're around here preaching that lie. The pickings is slim. The pickings is not slim. You just don't want the pickings right now because you're picking over the ones that you need to be with. I heard a brother say on social media, like most women, they friend zone the man they supposed to be with. And you do. A man who's nice to you, worship the ground you walk on, would do anything. But you don't want him. You want that motherfucker who got you and 5 other people plus 3 baby mamas. Because you want him because you think he's excited. And I'm not knocking his hustle at all. My thing is, why y'all complaining? Why you get 34 years old? Well, all the men that they was there in your face when you was young and fine. Now you done went through all these penises, laid your back on these beds and backseat of cars, and your spirit is all twisted upside down, and and you don't know what love is. You don't really care for love. Now you're trying to get somebody, make somebody be your damn companion at 39. If a man is 40 years old and he makes more than 6 figures a year, he makes 200,000, whatever, he don't want no 39-year-old used balloon. He doesn't. Hell, I broke and I don't want no 50-year-old. So let you know, a man with money and access, and especially if he has never had any kids, he ain't finna be a 40-year-old man with means and access and he wants kids. You think he finna be fooling around with a 35 to 42-year-old? Hell, her childbearing years are, damn. If she slipped on one banana peel, her ass is out of there. I know you hate to hear this, ladies. The truth. Y'all stop giving this bad information to the young women out of either envy or you scared she gonna get one that you thought you should have had. Y'all cut that out, ladies. Y'all supposed to mature into the wise aunties, into the all-knowing, Yodas of the community for young black women. But nah, you don't need no man. Hell, there's some old-ass grandmas in their 70s and 80s. I was married for 30 years, for 40 years, and I was miserable. That ain't helping, Grandma. So we can't continue a race based on children being born to just empty households, just an angry mother and a father out there running the streets. You can't do that. That's not how you build community. That's how you create commune. And so I was very impressed with this young lady. She said her folks raised her up on like old school music and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm sure she's not an angel, of course not, but I was just impressed. If there's anything I can do to continue to encourage her and other young ladies like her, go on, move forward, young lady. Who have not traded in their natural femininity for a degree, their natural femininity for a huge paycheck. Cool, because that's what a lot of women have done. They've traded their femininity, their naturalness as a woman. You've traded it in for things, for titles. Then you get there at 34 years old, 33 years old. Oh, okay, I want a good husband now. No, those dudes already married. They've been married 10 years and got 3 children. And they ain't bothering nobody. Men of means wants a woman who means what she says. They don't want to be, no man of means want to be some woman's crack this glass in emergencies. They ain't doing that. They didn't bust their ass and their chosen profession to get to, if not the middle, the top of their profession, to be somebody's plan B. Nope. Go and get you one of these cats that, and that's what a lot of you do. Go get these cats. Well, I make $100,000. Now he needs to make $250,000. That ain't happening, heifer. You better go get that brother, the postman, who makes $47,000 to $55,000. Y'all gonna make it work. Because when you're like 33, 34, you be trying to get pregnant on the wedding night because you ain't got that much time left. See, when you get married at 23, 24, you still got a couple of years at least to enjoy you and him in the marriage. And then y'all can properly plan and all this. But when the old chicks get married, and they 38, 39, never had kids, whatever, I want to have a baby. Well, damn. She more likely gonna meet a guy who already got some children. If he 38 to 44 years old, his children are probably grown, or at least late teenagers. And then you want him to start over with a new baby. Y'all get it together, ladies. As the old preacher would say, y'all need to go back to your Bibles and read your word. A lot of you do something going on, and it's really negatively impacting us as a community. And I said, young lady, young lady, would love to come back to your school and have this conversation with young ladies. Real conversation. I said I couldn't be a professor again because I'd get fired with all this political correctness. There you go. We were talking about that. It's a lot of political correctness. And I said I would get fired immediately, right away. And so, right away. Because I said, I'm not going to refer to anybody no damn pronouns. She said, I know, right? That is crazy. And I said, young lady, there are people who jobs are on the line if you misgender somebody. Now, you see him dressed up looking like the Quaker Oats man, Quaker Oats woman, coming to class. You supposed to say he, she, them, they. She said, what is a they? It ain't number one of y'all. Oh, it was, y'all don't understand. I was tickled and had a blast by that conversation, that young lady, with that young lady. I had a blast. I said, well, I'll be damned. A young sister that's red pill. Young sister that's red pill. Isn't that something? Doing her thing. Well, anyway, I just want to share that story. Because she's not down with them pronouns. She ain't down with no weird-ass liberal nonsense with Kamala Harris. I said, wow, whoever this young man is, he better have himself together. Because politically, and then, of course, she's in the church, or she says she goes, her parents, they're spiritually guided and all that, which is fine. But she ain't with none of that nonsense. And I'll say, so young men out there, you run across a young lady like that, have yourself together. Because I said, well, she ain't going to date no Democratic male. A lot of them old Zest Fest fellas, Fruity Loops, weirdos. She gonna end up probably with a conservative brother, but not a staunch, self-hating conservative, but a brother who kind of aligns with what she's talking about. They're gonna be just fine. And I think she's gonna be the one that's gonna be a great helpmeet in the household, and she's gonna stand back and she's gonna let her husband lead. I just think she's gonna do all of that. And I went on and and had more conversation about that scarcity mindset that people like to spread around. I ain't hardly no good men yet. Baby, you 19. What you talking about? There's plenty of young men your age right here that's decent. I know, stop looking at the pants saggers and the ones with tattoos on their throats. There's a lot of young men that y'all walk past because he has on a backpack going to class. So he's in class and he's not as boisterous and all of that. Those are the young men, the young ladies need to be trying to get you when they're serious about having someone in their life as a boyfriend or possible husband in the future. Y'all teach y'all daughters. It's so amazing when I hear 30 to 35-year-old women talking about they can't find a man and they got a master's degree or they have a college degree. I find that to be so amazing. That's why I don't take these conversations they have on the podcast seriously. Now, wait a minute, baby. You went to college for 4 years. Young men, all in your class. But I know when I went to Grambling in the 90s, people were coupling off, moving off campus. There were at least 2 marriages that I know in my circle that I knew about. They were getting married in school and moving off campus and starting their little family as they finished their degree. Or they was in grad school, they already had their apartment off campus and all of that. And they stayed together, too, for at least 25 years. One of them stayed together more than 25 years, too. No, he passed away. The other ones, I think, after children got grown and what have you, they just kind of grew apart. But the point is, they were there until the children were over 21. They were there for 20 years or so together. They started off as sophomores or juniors in college and together 20 years later. Raised their family. And so, these young women around here talking about, I want to go out here and live life and do me first and get my mouth career. Blah, blah. I understand it. Go ahead, baby. But don't bring your ass around here talking about all the men that you done walk past, all these men. And let me go back to the college thing. Now, you're in college 4 years, young lady. 4 years. Men everywhere. And if you into black men, you graduate from an HBCU. Now, I know you're not going to tell me that you were a virgin those whole 4 years. You gave somebody some coochie. Probably gave quite a few. You won't tell the exact number. You mean you're a biology major? You're at a historically black college? None of them guys in your class who went on and gone on to be future doctors with their biology major, none of them turned your head? Business major, you got men in your classes. Now, the future business owners, that didn't turn your head. So who you give your coochie to? Motherfuckers who were majoring in PE, physical education? Or dudes who wasn't really in school, but they were still on the campus? You ain't screwed nobody in your major, huh? It's weird. Then let's go. Okay, that's 4-year undergrad. Okay, she didn't. All right, she didn't make it. But then a lot of these sisters have master's degrees. This was before online became really popular. They were going back to school 2 more years to get their master's degree. Men all in the classroom. Hell, they probably had study partners, study groups with men. All these men seeking education. And none of those guys caught your eye. Let me tell you something, how convenient women get a chance to lie and use this plausible deniability. Well, you know, I was too busy studying. I was going to school and going to work. But you still gave some coochie away. So, even them 2 years. Then you got those who go to 3 years of law school. All those men in law school. And you ain't see one of those, huh? I told you, I can't take these people seriously. They're on some other shit. And then you go to the hood of the inner city. You see people. You see Takesha hold hands with Jaquavion going to the corner store. They got a man. A lot of them got a baby with them. They got a man. You went to school sitting elbow to elbow with your future husband who was on his way to earning 6 figures or more. And you can find one out there. Get out of here. Get out of here, ladies. I don't want to hear it. When you went to medical school, it was men there. So then you go to the white girls. No, they're getting married over 51%. And we see the videos when the white girls have this. There was this trend going on last year. Ring before spring. You see them sitting on the road waiting for their names to get called in their graduations, and they're flexing their ring fingers. They're already engaged, prepared to be married after they graduate and move in together. How come that's not happening to y'all sisters? And please spare me. Well, you know, the men, black men, you're a goddamn lie. Black men get married all the time. So what is it about you that none of them found you valuable enough to date you seriously? And then to the point where he falls in love and he sees a future with you. We're going to both of us have to take responsibility. But one thing about it, ladies, it's the men that do the asking. So if men aren't asking you, well, let me do this. And then, because some of y'all said, well, I got at least 3 or 4 proposals. Why you turn all 4 of them down, you ding-a-ling? Then you want to get on social media and talk about, well, these men aren't serious. They were serious with you when you were young and fine. Don't nobody want no overweight fatso with an attitude, mad at the world because she let time slip by. Don't nobody want no chick, you already got 2 kids by 3 baby daddies who ain't worth the shit. And then you want this guy who's built himself up to share his resources with you and his kids, the other men's kids. No, thank you. That ain't how they work, baby. Say what you want to say. But men are willing and waiting to be married. But you have to present yourself like a woman worth proposing to. Talking about us, trying to shame us, insult, and guilt men into proposing, that ain't working. Cause no. Then it's so bad, a lot of brothers say, fuck this, I'm finna go to another country. But to meet some marriage-minded women in a marriage-minded culture. America's a toxic culture when it comes to social relationships and all of that. And then, you know, if America catches a cold, the black community has the pneumonia. That's what has happened. Yeah, there are white girls out here too. There are no men around there. Where are the men? Then you look at her Oompa Loompa, SpongeBob shaped ass. Bitch, ain't nobody trying to marry your goofy ass anyway. Asian, white, or whatever. You ugly, your chances drop. You a fat chick with a bad attitude, your chances drop. And also, you need to stick to what you qualify for. You can't ask for no 6-figure man with 6-pack and you wear a size 16-26. Men who are successful don't date fat chicks. They don't date nor do they marry fat women. As Tom Likas, y'all go look up Tom Likas, white guy. He says fat women are for poor guys to marry so they can have someone to marry. Fat women are for poor guys because they cannot afford 10s. I'm just saying, it's not me. No, I'm not married. Nobody ever asked me either. So, but I live in, I live in the reality I know if I want to get married and all that, I'm the man. I can make it happen. Because so many women lined up. I'm past all that. I don't know none of that shit. Because, I'm not in the business of having children. You get married to have children. I'm not trying to have any kids, so why the fuck I need to get married? Got that? So, anyway, shout out to that young lady. We're probably working again. When's the next game? Probably next week or something. Well, shout out to her. And I'm sure, I want to believe there are a lot of young ladies who are just like her. The thing is, you won't notice her because she doesn't flop around like a peacock. It's something that's actually a young woman you even notice because she's too busy taking care of business and preparing herself for what she wants to be. That is a success in her career and her, finish her degree and get a job with the state or the federal government and probably probation or what have you, and being someone's dutiful, feminine, nurturing wife. It's your man, Rico. Rico, the opinion is like, share, and subscribe. Thank y'all so much for kind of strolling with me. Y'all be cool. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I'll talk to y'all later. Hold on one second. Put this on this finger. Y'all be cool. Peace.